As I said, I'm the first speaker. I'll be talking to you today about, let's see if I can actually share the slides. Hopefully everyone can see my slides. I wanted to talk about law and history for continuing legal education. The whole idea of law and history in legal education is an interesting area. When I was researching into this, there's not that many people who've actually written on this idea. I know a number of people who teach law and history, but actually talking about law and history for legal education, or why it's important for legal education, it was very difficult to find many works about this. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you about amazing evidence from Hong Kong. So what I'm going to be talking about, of course, is the Greater China Legal History seminar series. And of course, it's great that I've got both Professor Lutz Christian Wolf and Professor Christopher Gain in this session as well, because of course, these are both very important in the beginnings of this particular seminar series and the promotion of the seminar series. So first of all, if you are interested in seeing any more information about the Greater China Legal History seminar series, then there is a link at the top of this slide. And if you go to our website, you can find out more information about this. And there are lots of links to videos and past presentations from this seminar series. So if I just give you a little bit of the background, CUHK Law is a relatively new law school. We're now coming up, I think it's to 14 or 15 years that we've been going. And we're all very proud to say that we've had a very, very, well, I think, strong beginning, and we're carrying on in a very strong manner. One of the things that we have tried to do is to reach out to the local professional community by organising various events. One of these was an idea that Lutz and I had discussed, which was to do with Chinese custom and customary law. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the background to the seminars, about our first series of seminars, which was the Chinese custom and customary law in Hong Kong seminars, then how they became the Greater China Legal History seminar series. Of course, what happened to us this year, I'll talk about the success of that seminar series, and then what happened this year and how we went online and how going online actually affected the seminar series as well. And then a little bit maybe about the future of the seminar series and some observations on why the seminar series has been so successful. So the Chinese Customary Law in Hong Kong seminar series came about, as I said, because Lutz and I were discussing Chinese custom and customary law, and we're very lucky in Hong Kong. We're one of the few jurisdictions in the world that still has elements of Chinese custom and customary law actually embedded in the legal system. For me, when I began teaching equity and trusts in Hong Kong, I was very surprised to find that we have in Hong Kong Chinese customary trusts. So we have the Zhou, we have the Tong, we have some money lending groups as well, which are organized on what was interpreted by English judges when they came over, the colonial judges, as a trust basis. Also, of course, there were other elements that were interesting. The recognition of Chinese wills, issues to do with family relationships, particularly, of course, customary wife relationships as well, including the concubine and the recognition of children born within these particular relationships. So there are lots of interesting things. And Lutz and I were talking, Lutz's interest at one point was, this is very strange, isn't it? We've got this body of law, which is part of Hong Kong law, but actually, if we have any cases that are about it, we need expert evidence given to the court about this part of Hong Kong law. So that became something that we were talking about, and Lutz suggested, look, we should try and get some experts in to talk about this. So we started off the Chinese customary law in Hong Kong seminar series. I'll put some slides up in a minute telling you some of the early presenters and the topics that were covered. We decided that we would hold it at our Graduate Law Centre, which is down in Central in Hong Kong. We have the law faculty is very fortunate. We have two campuses. We have the Sha Tin campus, which is the main CUHK campus, but we have the Graduate Law Centre down in Central, which of course is where we do most of our graduate teaching and where we organise things that we intend for professionals. Now, again, we anticipated that we would get some interest. We weren't sure how much. This had sort of coincided as well around the time that Chris Gain had asked me to work with the representatives from the other two law schools to organise a conference, a joint conference on Magna Carta back in 2015. So we had an understanding, because there was a good response to this, that some people were interested in history. And some of the feedback we got there was again about, we'd like to know a little bit about the more history. So because Lutz and I were interested in this, because we'd had this extra sort of indication of interest, we organized the Chinese customary law in Hong Kong seminar series, delivered on Friday lunchtimes from 12:30 till 2 o'clock. I think we hope that we've managed to get a full series out of it. I'm not sure that we anticipated the response and that we would actually carry on to organize more. So this is what happened in our first year. We organized 5 seminars. Our first one we had as our opening speaker, a great supporter of the faculty, Justice Kamal Bakari, and he had in one of his books actually referred to the fact that not too much had been said about Chinese customary law in Hong Kong, and more should be. We also had an eminent local historian from CUHK, David Four, and we were quite surprised. For our lunchtime seminars, we might usually attract maybe numbers in the 20s or maybe the 30s. We had 89 people enrolled, 58 people turned up. And this just carried on. We started organizing more, and the response was generally very positive. And when we asked people, why are you interested in this? Why do you come along? It was again because of our big surprise was that practicing lawyers were telling us that they wanted to find out more, because they were facing issues where they found it difficult to actually find experts in these particular areas. So they wanted to find out more. And of course, it was then natural, having had a successful first year, that we would feed into a second year, and we would organize more events, and we would talk about more issues linked in to this Chinese customary law. So the second year again, very successful. We were very pleased with the response. The same principle, a Friday lunchtime seminar from 12:30 till 2 o'clock. But as you can see, recurrent in there, well, there's Utz's name, there's my name as well. This was because we were interested, but it also highlighted a problem that we discovered, which was that there weren't that many experts in this field that we could actually find. And we needed to find more experts. We were faced at the end of the second year with a successful seminar series and a problem finding further experts. And that's why when Lutz and I discussed it, Lutz said, look, let's widen things out. Let's look more at legal history in the sort of, not just China and Hong Kong, but in the wider diaspora as well. And that's why we came up with the Greater China Legal History Seminar Series. We kept the same format because it had worked so successfully before. And we just wanted to make sure that the focus would be on legal history in a Greater China context. It could be China, it could be Hong Kong, it could be Southeast Asia, but there had to be this sort of Greater China context there. We wanted to, and this was Lutz put together when we originally advertised the seminar series, bring together common law and Chinese law with other great legal traditions and values to promote justice and safeguard the rule of law. So all of these things were being put in. Our first year, with the Greater China Legal History Seminar Series, we also decided to ask the Hong Kong Law Society for CPD accreditation. So you'll see in the 6 talks that we had in that particular year, you'll see in the table here that we have an enrollment number, an attendance number, and then you have a second enrollment number. This is the people who actually applied to us to get CPD accreditation, and attendance figures there. Because we'd realized as well that because we were getting so many practitioners coming along, that we should really try to reward them with not just an interesting talk, but actually they could get some of their CPD points as well. And again, a hugely successful year, and we're starting to get over 100 people at times coming to the seminars. So we're very pleased with the whole progress of the seminar series, and it made sense for us, of course, to then go into our another year of the seminars. Here we have the next year where things just became more successful. We had at times, you can see there for Professor Norman Ho in the first one, an enrollment of 173 people. Doug Arner, at the end of that year, when he did his talk on legal compliance, 279 people enrolled, 176 attended. I was very disappointed actually, because that took the record away from me at that point as well. But it was hugely successful. We were getting a lot of support from within the faculty. I think everyone, initially, I think we were all a little bit taken by surprise about how successful it was. But of course, when we all realized it worked, things were moving on with the seminar series. So now we come to our 5th anniversary year of the seminar series coming out of the Chinese custom and customary law seminars. And of course, things started off very, very well. We were very pleased with Norman Ho again giving us a wonderful talk about corporal punishments and mutilations and everything else. And we can see very well attended. We also introduced this year as well video recording as well of the seminars and uploading to our website. And as you can see, you know, Norman's actual seminar attracted 77 people to actually come along, but 920 people have viewed his video. So, you know, a wide sign up to this online, which should have really given us some clues for the future, I suppose. We carried on the last, as you can see there, the last seminar which actually delivered on a face-to-face basis was by one of our colleagues who'd been attending from the history department, Professor Stuart McManus. Again, very successful seminar. We can see again from the video views how successful that was as well. Great seminar, really interesting. And we were ready for our next seminars from Sala, from Albert Chen, from Hong Kong U. Another point I should make is we've been well supported by our colleagues from the other law schools as well. But of course, that was when everything to do with the virus hit and we had to postpone the seminars. And at this point, Lutz and I had to talk about what do we do? Well, the university and the faculty was very well prepared. We'd switched all of our learning and teaching online. It made sense to follow with our events as well. And we decided that rather than just leave the series hanging, we would provide the seminars on an online basis. So we use Zoom, and here we have a table which shows you what happened when we went to Zoom. We had a bit of a problem because at first, of course, our 2 arranged speakers weren't sure they wanted to go to Zoom. So Lutz said, okay, that means that I've got to do one, and I had to do one as well. So we had to sort of come up with the topics very quickly. So Lutz did a short legal history of China's Belt and Road. And suddenly from our big numbers of 200 odd plus, online we were getting 500 plus. And attendances of 394, as you can see there as well. We didn't video the first 2. Maybe we should have videoed the first 2 as well to have seen how that worked as well. But you can see then with my seminar, I was very proud for a while to be the first person to go over the 1,000 mark with enrollments. But of course, then Albert came along and stole the title from me again with his 1,200 and 866 turning out. Amazing, you know, an amazing response, which I think, again, just shows the importance of online reaching out. And of course, that's to make us all think about the future with legal education, and particularly when it comes to professional legal education. So that's just a brief description of what's happened and a brief description of how we've gone online. I should mention the legacy. The legacy of this particular seminar series is, of course, a number of articles that have come out of it. A number of those presentations that you've seen have now become articles, and in fact, a couple of them actually became books, the basis for books as well. A lot of media coverage. We received a lot of media coverage because of not just the topics, but I think also because of the success of the series, and even being asked to give special lectures on behalf of the university, which is the class acts mentioned there as well. Also, I think because within the faculty, we're now changing certain research sort of initiatives within the faculty as well. So we now have a Centre for Comparative and Transnational Law, which has a transnational legal history group. We have a number of colleagues. Ryan Mitchell, who's one of the other speakers there, of course, is involved in this as well. People who have are researching into legal history, and it just made sense then to build onto this, to group these people together and to provide more events. And of course, one of those events is next week, which again is with Professor Michael Martinek as well, who will be giving a keynote later on, which is on the role of the law of unjust enrichment in Asia, which came out of one of the seminars that I gave with Lutz and with our PhD student at the time, with C. Lin as well, Dr. Lin, as she now is. So there is a legacy that's come out of this. The future, well, of course, we now have to think what we're going to do in the future with this seminar series. Of course, we all want to go back to face-to-face teaching, but we've seen the success that going online brings as well. And we have to think about, even if we do go back to face-to-face, there must be, I think, an online presence as well. That's something that we'll have to consider. I should always point out as well that we're always looking for new speakers. So anyone out there who is interested in any aspect of Greater China legal history, then of course, please feel free to comment on me. The success of the seminar series, as I said, it took us a little bit by surprise, I think. And, you know, I think we all reacted very well to the success and went along with the things that we realized people wanted, which were still in line with our original intentions with the seminars. One of the things that I think did surprise us was how many, particularly practitioners, have a genuine interest in law and history. And that, you know, it should have been obvious. We should have realized that these people who are experts in their fields, because of their expertise, have to understand context and have an interest in the history and the development of the law as well. But that was something I think that initially surprised us. Also, of course, the fact that we get many people outside of the legal professions who sign up for our events as well, who are just interested in the law and history of the Greater China region as well. The format and the timing of the seminars, I think that was a brilliant idea. Lunchtimes on a Friday in the middle of the legal community, well, it makes sense that this is a nice way that people can come and spend their lunchtime. And of course, the point at the bottom, maybe get their CPD accreditation as well. So just some points on that. Also, I should say, again, when I was looking into some of the literature around this, a lot of the things were written about America, where law and history, I think, is far more of a topic that is actually taught. And Calvin Woodward, in an article that he wrote, was talking about this long debate questioning the value of legal history as a part of contemporary legal education and its significance to legal education, where it's been described as marginal. Well, I think that the fact that we've actually got practitioners who've expressed in their feedback that in the practice of law, the historical development of law and its relation to history provide context to understand the doctrine or precedent in the common law, well, I think that perhaps says something different, that actually it should be considered to be more central. There are a couple of links to articles there. I think I've already overrun, so if anyone has got any questions, I'm very happy to answer them. But otherwise, I'll be introducing our new speaker very quickly. So if anyone has got a question, I'm happy to answer it. But otherwise, I think I might just move us on to our next speaker. And people can always ask me questions some point in the future.